Hello, my little fishies, and welcome to all new First Issues, the weekly #1 comic review show. These are the new comics from June 15th, 2016, and boy do we have a flood of Marvel and even more from DC. I'm the Archivist, and before I get going, I do want to announce that due to cost-cutting measures, starting next week, all new First Issues is going to be focused on the top 5 comics of the week, rather than every comic released in the week. Yes, that change if this video gets over 100 views, just to show that I can actually get some decent numbers. Anyways, let's just wade right into this week with Marvel Civil War II, X-Men #1. Written by Cullen Bunn, art by Andrea Broccato, and colors by Jesus Aburtov. Wait, why the hell is there another Terrigen Cloud? Is it the same one, just keeps going around the globe? Anyway, so Magneto's X-Men and Storm's X-Men team up and then don't because Ulysses for some reason, which apparently Psylocke is able to read all the information about from somewhere using her telepathy. I mean, even she goes, oh no, he doesn't predict it, he can only profile it. But dude, that's not what any other book has said about his power. Sigh. Oh, and Nightcrawler apparently teams with Darkside instead of Stormside because, shut up. This is very, very, very ignorable. The art is averagely okay, the writing is quite annoyingly pointless, and there's literally no reason to actually read this. Even if you're into the X-Men books, the characters just fall flat, especially with limited time, something completely opposed to an actually decent tie-in that the first Civil War had with the X-Men. But yes, totally not worth it. Next is... Oh god, no. Marvel's Vote Loki #1, written by Christopher Hastings, art by Langdon Foss, with colors by Chris Chuckry. Loki is running for office. That's the joke. That's why this exists. Because ha ha fucking ha. Yeah, I'm sorry about swearing, I try not to do that so much, but what the hell, Marvel? Did you want to be hip with the kids? With Loki? Because ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm not even going to dignify this one. It's not good. It has sparks of what could have been an interesting concept, but nope. And the art kinda sucks. The end. Next comic, please. Marvel's Han Solo #1. Written by Marjorie Liu, art by Mark Brooks, and colors by Sonia Obach. Alright, so, Han Solo signs on to a dangerous race after a hell of a long verbal argument with Leia because she made plans for his ship without asking him. Yeah, there's a lot more intrigue there, but that's basically the gist of it. But of course, there's more to the race than just a good version of wacky races. Instantly, the art is what grabbed me and made me enjoy this from page 1. Rather than feeling like the Marvel in-house style that has been prevalent with other Star Wars books, this feels more akin to the Dark Horse license, and I love it. And the premise itself isn't bad, with romping around with Han Solo and Chewie, and seeing his reluctance to help the Resistance, even saying screw it just to join the race. But that's where I think there's a small hindrance to this story. There's a lot of dialogue in this. Like a metric ton that feels like over-explaining a lot of the time, which makes the majority of the middle drag on, which is a real shame. Yet it really all amounts to how you feel about it. Honestly, I really dug this and think that it is definitely worth a read, but I can understand some people being put off by it. So yeah, go give this a gander. And there's another trifecta of timely comics released. Invincible Iron Man, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and the new Avengers. I only have a preview for the new Avengers on my Facebook this time, but I would say that Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is the best one to pick up. I couldn't get into the new Avengers, and the only reason I ever picked up any Iron Man comic of my own free will was because Tom Taylor is God, and Superior Iron Man, at least, was really fun to read. But again, if you haven't read any of these half-trades are a good way to check out a better chunk of the story for the same price as a single issue. Moving to the indie pool, there's IDW's Tales from the Darkside #1, adapted by Michael Benedito from a script by Joe Hill, art by Gabriel Rodriguez, and colors by Ryan Hill. Ziggy's life is really sucking. After having his girlfriend come in to find a giant party, with him covered, granted sleeping, with many bikini-clad women, to being shunned by society because someone drowned on his watch as a lifeguard, which, to the court case, isn't his fault, but you know how that goes. But all of that changes when a Darkside event happens, meaning that anyone that looks at him now falls asleep, which comes to a big head towards the end, but read it and find out what I mean by that. Tales from the Darkside was an underrated show when it was on, and it is still not as well received as some of the more well-known brothers like The Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits, but it was a fairly good series with some notables attached to it. And apparently Joe Hill, the fantastic creator of Lock and Key, was signed on to do a CW reboot for the show, which is why he added in the Darkside event stuff to give the anthology an overall narrative. Or at least that's what I think he was trying to do. We'll have to see what happens in The Black Box and The Window Opens to really see what happens there. But the adaptation is great and the art is really good to give the mood and feel, so overall a solid standalone and totally worth a singles buy. Speaking of weird things, there's Dark Horse's Weird Detective #1, written by Fred Valenti, art by Gio Villanova, colors by Mauricio Wallace and Josan Gonzalez. Get this absolutely right now. Okay, this double-sized awesome is about a new partnership between a woman who's been busted down from counterterrorism to minor crimes, where she is paired with Sebastian Green, our narrator, and a man who is not a man. He's actually a member of the great race of Yith, and he's also a detective, though he's got far greater powers than any normal man. But his new partner, struggling with her home life, and not exactly a bitchy wife, but we don't actually see her be nice in this, even needing to bring her kid to a crime scene once. She's really on the case to uncover Green's secrets, while Green, or whatever his Yithian name is trying to uncover the way to beat the Great Old Ones. You know, people like Shub-Niggurath and Cthulhu. Get this now! Fred Valenti writes a spectacular Lovecraftian tale without ever making it something like detectives dealing with the macabre or a straight-up horror piece. It's definitely a procedural piece told through a unique lens that really makes it fresh and new. The outsider look at humans juxtaposed with Sana's life and very human existence just makes this all the more amazing. And the artwork is great in the best ways. The way I like it, actually, so maybe I'm biased, but oh man, is this awesome! Just go out and read it. It's the 5% of Lovecraftian stories that actually work in this century. So for thugging it up right now. Last on the indie scene, we turn to Archaea's The Joyners #1, written by R.J. Ryan, illustrated by David Marquez, with colors by Kelly Fitzpatrick. Following in the greatness of names like Steve Jobs, Orville Wright, and Ron Popeil, we have George Joyner and his partner coming up with an invention that will revolutionize the world. But his life may get in the way as he keeps that secret. There's a lot of talking in this, but unlike in the Han Solo book I covered earlier, this really deserves it. It's framed more like a biopic, but still told to get a mystery about the Joyner family's life and its deteriorations. It works well to give the characters space, but it's a slow burn with dialogue and being more character-based than action-oriented. And the art reflects that by being a bit on the minimal side, but still decent enough. I'm not sure if I could recommend this though. I think the book would have worked better if they did go more bio with it, framing it as a real version of events versus the history books kind of thing. That may have worked better narratively to make this more interesting for overall readers, but as it is, it's not a bad read. I just know it's not going to be for everyone. So really it's up to you at home if you're interested or not. Now it's DC time! DC's Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade #1, written by Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello, pencils by John Romita Jr., inks and colors by Peter Steigerwald. Batman is feeling old, and he's in a rough way. Meanwhile, Joker's being all jokery in Arkham, but the biggest story arc is the world wondering how horrible Robin's life must be for him to be such a brutal little punk, and Robin himself is showing how brutal he can be and how, whatevs, I do what I want, to Batman's rule. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this was penned by Azzarello with Miller just assisting on the outline, because this is definitely a Brian Azzarello joint. Bruce is really discovering his mortality and seeing what his rash actions are reaping, not in the world as a whole, but to his faithful ward, Robin. Either way, it is a solid character study of the lifestyle with the characters involved, and a solid first issue. Plus, Romita's art is very much in the style of Miller's work, but keeping it tight and realistic so you can see what's actually happening. So this is a must-own and possibly the best in the whole Dark Knight continuity. Speaking of Batman, next we have DC's Batman #1, written by Tom King, pencils by David Finch, inks by Mark Banning, and colors by Jordi Belair. A talk between Batman and Commissioner Gordon gets interrupted by a missile shooting down a 747 overhead. Batman leaps into action and does some epic heroics to at least get the plane away from crashing into the city. However, as it's about to crash into Gotham Bay or whatever it's called now, two new heroes emerge and save the plane. The new heroes both flying and look very much like the super cousins, call themselves Gotham and Gotham Girl. Yeah. Stupid name, but interesting premise. So ultimately, this is just a part 1 that showcases that Batman is awesome, but can't beat out raw muscle that Clark could bring to the table, especially when a commercial plane is going down. Yet Tom King does an awesome job showing Bats being awesome, but not infallible, as the mystery of these two new supers, wanting to be the heroes of Gotham, emerges. It's a neat concept that I think could easily play out into actually being the Batman equivalent of What's Wrong with Truth, Justice, and the American Way, except for a modern age without Batman being replaced by a psychotic Batman. And the art is very good, with solid pencils and inking that makes us feel like the current Bat books coming out. And when you add Jordi Belair on any creative team, the colors on this will be on a whole nother level. Seriously, a great first issue in the new Rebirth era, though Batman wasn't all that affected by the new 52, and probably won't be too affected by Rebirth, assumably. Next up is DC's Green Lanterns #1, written by Sam Humphries, pencils by Robson Roca, inks by Jay Liston, and colors by Blonde. So the two greenhorns, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, are on a mission, which goes fairly well until after they stop a rage-fueled man with a shotgun, an evil tower emerges. Archivist comes in and contains the scene, but after the fact, more and more crowds of people are succumbing to the red rage of Atrocitus, or rather Bleeze, the blue-skinned skeletal-winged member of the Red Lantern Corps. I already covered the generals of the new dichotomy presented from Green Lantern's Rebirth a couple weeks ago, and this really uses that as a perfect issue 0, so that while you still see a lot of friction, both Cruz and Baz understand that they're partners, so they just can't fight all the time. It uses the issue 0 to cut through the fluff so that the Red Dawn story can move forward, and boy is it looking to be a doozy. And the art works great, with the characters being on model, Blonde's colors popping as any good Lantern book should, and even the backgrounds look smashing, be it a grocery store or the hellish planet in Sector 666. So if you're a Lantern fan or even just wondering about these two poozers, give it a read. Then we have DC's Green Arrow #1, written by Benjamin Percy with art by Otto Schmidt. Black Canary and Green Arrow are still on the case against the evil people from their Rebirth issue, this time saving a shipping container full of women and children, off to be human trafficked somewhere, while we see their supporting characters helping out, like their earpiece Henry, or Emmy, who is basically Speedy just all in black and ninja-y. But as they leave the pier, we see a woman with a dragon tattoo looming over them. But the more pressing matter is finding the identity of the masked leader of these human traffickers. And yes, it does seem they're setting up a rejected Court of Owl's society in Seattle. But either way, this ends with Shadow, the ninja with a dragon tat, filling Ollie full of arrows with a surprise accomplice. This is the return to the Green Arrow I needed. I've always been a Green Arrow fan. With the first comic I can actually officially recall reading repeatedly, being a backup story he had in several Batman comics. By that time I had ripped the covers off I had drawn on the Batman stuff, but I needed to read that Green Arrow story with him fighting the Jersey Devil and Pinball Wizard. God, there was a woman. Why can't I remember her name? None of that matters. The New 52 was one of the biggest things that irked me with the character. But oh man, Benjamin Percy nails Ollie and Dinah's relationship. Both characters' personalities, and even the people I didn't know from any previous stuff, just all flows perfectly into this. And that stinger ending is just mwah! Perfecto. And the art. While I did say that there were some moments in the Rebirth issue, that seems to all be gone here, and the art is just perfectly greatness good. It even actually had a couple friends of mine ready to buy the book now solely because I shared a panel. So totally worth a buy, and this probably is the best DC has to offer this week. But I could easily be wrong with that, as we move right into DC's Superman #1, written by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, inks by Mick Gray, colors by John Calitz. And right out of the gate, we have a phenomenal story. If you haven't checked out the Rebirth issue or the phenomenal Lois and Clark miniseries, the current Superman is post-crisis Supes, who've been displaced along with his family after Convergence. Seriously, go and read them now. A lot's happened in the last year with this family of Kents. And this story, or at least this issue, focuses on the Kents living their lives, with Clark now being the official Superman thanks to the death of the New 52 Supes. But even more so, it focuses on the fact that Superman's son, Jonathan, still has very little control over his powers as he kills his cat by accident. Actually, that scene kind of reminded me of something from Supreme Power from Marvel Max's line. That night, New 52 Batman and Wonder Woman come to talk to the new Superman. When they leave, Soup goes into his son's room and tells him to come with him. Honestly, I think this is the best Superman ongoing start that I've read in ever. Well, I really have only ever been peripherally following Superman, and even in the New 52, he got some good storylines. There was always a disconnect that he was just a placeholder, and never came into his own as a character that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the post-crisis version. But oh man, this is freaking fantastic, and the art is just great. Like what I said about the Rebirth issue, the art feels very reminiscent of Before the New 52, which I felt had the art style veering into being very digital and cold feeling. But this feels like a modern equivalent of the art that worked in the before time. It's crisp, it's tight, it doesn't have that same coldness I was talking about. But then again, that could be advancements in how artists art digitally, or I'm just being an old fogey. Either way, this book is top tier and will make you love Superman all over again. Go and get it now. To end the show, we have DC's Titans Rebirth #1, written by Dan Abnett, pencils by Brett Booth, inks by Norm Reitman, colors by Andrew Dahlhaus. Wally West breaks into Dick Grayson's house and is beset by the newly united Titans from Titan Hunt, which is Nightwing, who's back to being in blue, thank God, Lilith, Donna Troy, Garth, and Roy Harper. One by one, as they get near him, lightning shoots out and they get their memories of him back. Now reunited again, they're all ready to focus on finding who took their memories, together as a family. This is the Rebirth branch between Titans Hunt and reintroducing the post-crisis Wally West into the current universe. Overall, Abnett nails the characters, showing flashbacks to Wally's time with them that really drives home the history for those that don't know it, and to rekindle that connection between readers who maybe have forgotten about Titan's history on a personal level. And the art, another knockout of the park, keeping with the solid style that Titan Hunt had. This is actually a great step to getting a Titans book in the last 5 years that is actually worth reading long term. Go and check it out now. And that's all for all new first issues this week. It started off a little bit weak, but the week wrapped up with a solid ending. If you agree or disagree with me on any of my opinions, or if I missed a comic that came out this week you'd like to hear about, leave a comment below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Bradley Nephilim for comic randomness, and on the Archivist Facebook page for other great books that I don't cover on all new first issues. Plus, don't forget to check out the amazing articles on Badley Productions with gaming, comics, movies, and so much more. And as always, stay golden, Inklings.